Unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with, even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having to see and listen to, rear and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's teachings. In Buddhism, when Zen practitioners share their understandings of the teachings and practice, it's on the basis of dana paramita. Dana being a Pali word that means generosity or to give free, and this is done so without the expectation of anything in return when the opportunity arises. And those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a dana basis, so please support their practice by giving what you can. You can go to greattreetemple.org and hit the sub to make a donation to Reverend Chimyo and just put a note in there that says Rev Chimyo or something like that, and we'll send the dana her way. Our speaker today is our beloved Reverend Chimyo Atkinson. Ryuju Chimyo means tree of prosperity, clear wisdom. Reverend Chimyo was ordained by Reverend Teijo in 2007 and received Dharma Transmission in 2015. She received monastic training at Great Tree and completed 2 Sotoshu International training periods in Japan in 2010 and 2011, 2 additional angos at Aichi Senmon Nisodo in Nagoya in 2012, and 1 ango at Ryumonji Monastery in Iowa in 2014. Chimyo served as head of practice at Great Tree and volunteered with the sangha at the Avery-Mitchell Correctional Institute until 2020. And now she lives in Brooklyn. Thank you, Chimyo. And I believe the title of her talk today is 3 Pounds of Flax.
Good morning. There she is. I'm sorry, Meredith, I didn't see your chat post. I'm really bad at this. I hope you can hear okay?
Yes.
Good to see you. Good to see you all. Yes.
Yes.
This morning's talk is supposed to be about a koan that I am currently working on. Not assigned to me, whatever. I've been working on this in the hopes of being able to fulfill a request. I won't go all into that. But this is a case from the Woman Con, The Gateless Gate, which I'm sure most of you have encountered at some point. And it's case 18, Tozan Masagin. And I'll read the case. And then I'll attempt to say something. Okay? I'm just saying. But this is the case. A monk asked Master Tozan in all earnestness, "What is Buddha?" Tozan said, "Masagin." Masagin means 3 pounds of flax. Yeah. What do we say about that? Well, words are useless, as we all know, when it comes to Zen and this practice. 3 pounds of flax. 3 pounds of flax. When we ask, what is Buddha? What are we asking for? We're asking for someone or get someone. Asking for some definition. Asking for some identity. Asking for what?
What?
And I wrote to myself that this monk, that I, when I ask this question, am a fish drowning in water. a fish drowning in water. We go back to something like the Genjo Koan, and it's somewhere in there. I'm not going to quote definitively, but that understanding that Buddha is all around us, but to say it in that way invites the dualistic thought, invites separation. It's all around me. Well, there is no where, no around. If I'm truly engaged in the Dharma, no separation, no discrimination, no around anything. What is Buddha? Buddha in all things. Dogen says to sit on the cushion and do this practice is to not just to enlighten or liberate oneself, but liberates all being. How is that if I have something around me, if the skin is real, if this boundary doesn't exist? How is anything around me? How is there that separation to be able to say around words? But in my mind, and what I try to tell myself is to really stop that asking. Stop that question and simply actualize Buddha. Again, Genjo Koan. When Buddhas are truly Buddhas, they don't need to perceive they are Buddhas. However, they are enlightened Buddhas and they continue actualizing Buddha. So to ask what is Buddha is to step away from that completeness, to step away from actualizing, to again separate and put Buddha over there and whatever this is over here. Or to simply raise my hand and say, hey, Buddha here. That's not true either. I look in the bathroom mirror. If I'm looking in the bathroom mirror and all I see is this face standing in front of a blue shower curtain, that's not Buddha. But in the reality of, she is Buddha. There's nothing else beyond that, Buddha, if I could just see it. But I miss it because I believe in skin. I believe in boundary, in my delusion, the delusion of separation. So 3 pounds of flax. I have a friend that has done actual koan practice. And she advised me in working at this to not just read it and parse it as if I'm doing, a book report or, I'm an English major. So that's how I approach a lot of things that I read. trying to research and pull ideas from it or whatever. This thing is 2 lines. I'm going to pull from this as a, in my habitual way. And she advised, be Tozan. Be Tozan. So I'm supposed to be this ancestor. But why not? But then imagination takes over. I ask, what is Buddha? And Tozan says, 3 pounds of flax. And instead of just being with it, I go shopping. Like, what's 3 pounds of flax? 3 pounds of flax, and I'm picturing, a bag of flax meal, like we have down under the cabinet at Great Tree. Or I'm imagining a skein of flax yarn, pretty expensive. Or, a pile of cordage, rope at my feet. Because, again, pulling away from it, there's somewhere within a couple of the taishos that I read on this koan, which was a mistake, something about just being, there was one where the quote is, come closer, to be intimate with it. That, what does it say? That Tozan, like a clamshell, open and expose its innards. And in a sense, it's kind of an instruction. Again, here's me in my analyzing and theorizing and ideating to get closer to this, to bring it closer, to make it not about me, but to approach it without skin, without the boundary. Not 1, not 2, come closer. To be immersed as a fish in an ocean is what this Dharma practice is what Zazen practice is. It's Buddha. I go back and I think about my own questions. When I came to this practice, and probably when many come to this practice, what is it that I seek outside myself? When all that I'm talking about, when I am seeking, there's that thing we sometimes say, and I don't want to disparage it because it's just the way that we come to things. Why do you practice? Because I want to know who I am. And yet, here we are walking the streets, showing up at temples and Zen centers, opening up, reading libraries, all this stuff out here when I claim I want to know this. What is there to know? There's no knowing. There's no identifying. And then I see this, go into this temple, and I see this beautiful statue of this being with a beatific smile on his face as an example of what it looks like, what it looks like, what it looks like. And I think, oh, I want to be that. But didn't I just say I wanted to know what was here? What is Buddha? It's very hard to make that, to turn that corner from I want to know myself to the not knowing, to setting down the idea, the picture of what Buddha is, and simply actualizing. And actualizing doesn't necessarily mean not knowing. It's, when in doing all of this ideating and fretting, it goes back to Genjo Koan, Dogen, when Buddhas are truly Buddhas, they don't need to perceive that they are Buddhas. However, they are enlightened Buddhas and they continue actualizing Buddhas. So, Buddha standing in front of the blue shower curtain, identifying, ideating, claiming, whatever it is she's doing. They say, you see the Buddha, kill the Buddha. Gently kill her. Let her dissolve, fall away into true Dharma. It's hard to do. That's why the question keeps coming up. What is Buddha? What is Buddha? And part of that actualization is to truly take refuge. To take refuge as, what do we call it? World, universe, all beings, as is. As is. Because perhaps more words, Buddha is simply this moment right here. Again, another definition, another skin. But if I have to put it in words, Buddha is everything that is just here, right now, present moment. There is nothing that is not this moment. Seen or unseen, near or far, not separate. Everything that is. I'm sorry? everything that in our useless words that we can say everything that makes, quote, makes this moment is everything. Whether it's this cup right here, whether it's a comet that we can't even see, is this moment. There's nothing that is not Buddha. And the only way to truly, how about we not answer the question, okay? What it is to Buddha is to take refuge in all this without like and dislike, without yes and no, without the coming and going, to take refuge in present, without definition, without making, to take refuge. That is to take refuge. I'll tell you a little embarrassing story. It happened to me 2 days ago. As some of you know, I have had brain surgery. And what happens with that is memory and, I don't know, just keeping it together. It's sometimes a little difficult. So within the past 6 months, I have locked myself out of my apartment 3 times because the door locks automatically. There's no way to, because of the type of lock that is on the door, there's no way to keep that from happening. I can't undo whatever it is that makes it lock automatically. So when the door clicks behind me, well, that's it. And I keep forgetting my key. I keep, in my disorganization, setting it down and walking out the door. And I did that a couple of days ago. And so I'm there, standing out in the street in front of my apartment building, trying to not lose it. Because what happens is I have to, in my, dusty old ego, I have to call my sister who is at work, and, tell her that I've done this again and that I'm going somewhere and I won't, I won't be here when you get back. Just call me when you get back and I'll come home. And that's my idea of how to handle that. So I end up traveling to my brother's house where I will be babysat until my sister gets home from work. And of course, all the feelings of that. The ego tells me, that I'm no longer a competent adult and yada, yada, yada. And there's an implication that you never were, you were always this clumsy and forgetful and, you really never had it together. It's like y'all have been, just being kind and, let me think I was okay. You know, brain never was okay. So all that feeling sorry for myself, you know, and the arrows of suffering, you know, the story from the sutra that says, you know, that the Buddha told of how we deal with suffering is to make more suffering. You know, I got the arrow that, you know, I get locked out of my house. You know, that's enough. But in the, you know, in the wake of that, I shoot myself with another arrow that feels pain and takes that little suffering and creates the big suffering of uh, feeling incompetent, of self-pity, of, you know, shame, you know, how many more, of, you know, uh, whatever you can think of. More and more arrows come, you know, from just that one little issue. And the Buddha says, you know, that is where our suffering comes from. That's how suffering grows. And it gets even more, makes me more suffering when I run out of, you know, body and mind to shoot. And I start shooting some of y'all and spread out that suffering. And the Buddha says to beware of that. But yeah, I'm standing outside in the street shooting arrows until, you know, I start walking. And I'm walking like a little old lady, dragging my little grocery cart, because the whole point was to go grocery shopping. You know, I was going to the grocery store, and this little adventure, you know, finds me. And so I'm walking around shooting arrows and believing, you know, being deluded and not seeing what's around me until, you know, I take my walk to the subway station and I'm walking down the, you know, 58th Street. And color, I notice color. And as I approach, you know, there's this waving of beautiful yellow and purple. And it pulls me up and I stop. It's a stand of irises swaying in the wind. And I stop and I listen. And I listen to their discourse and the sermon they are silently speaking. Just for a moment, all these Buddha heads swaying, just being beautiful, just being. And I'm just there. I'm no longer lost. Without a key, without a home, without a direction, I'm where I'm supposed to be. In this present. And this present doesn't have anything to do with the door locking behind me, because keyless, clueless, homeless, I am I find refuge in all that's around me, in this ocean, the Dharma ocean. And I remember for a minute this, just this. You know, I wrote down Thich Nhat Hanh. I used to remember this. I think, did we say this at Great Tree? I don't remember what the context was. Did I know this? Thich Nhat Hanh's Gata. I have arrived. I am home in the here and now. To wander senseless, to be lost in the ocean of Buddhas, to be walking the Buddha field and not be at home, to just not know, and still, that's Buddha. I know. And it kind of sounds corny because ideas and, ego. But that is, what else can it be? What else is it? But even when things go wrong, when I am imperfect, to have awareness, to have consciousness, to embrace and take refuge in what? The three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Where is that not? Who is that not? What? Who, what, where, what? We're not. There was a little woman climbing the stairs into a townhouse, right above the swaying yellow and purple. And she's kind of struggling up the stairway. And, she just greets me. Hello. This weird, am I going to define it? This weird thing standing at the foot of her stairway. And she says hello. And I say something unnecessary, that the irises are beautiful. And she smiles and says, thank you. And her white hair is just glowing. Glowing. Like a Buddha smile, like they say in the sutras that Buddha glowed. Buddha. What is not? And I keep walking. And, bumping that silly shopping cart along, stumbling, because I have issues with my sight, so, I don't run into everything, and imperfectly treading the path. What else is there? What else? And so I'm going along and, not Kensho, just trying to hold on, which is a mistake, to what I'm seeing at that time is a little encouragement, a little feeling of not being alone, of not being lost, even if it's just for a minute. And it's being present among Buddhas on the BMT, rocking through, Borough Park on the way to my brother's, the noisy subway. It's, sitting with my brother in his living room, watching reruns of Star Trek with the very first Dharma sibling, very first Dharma ally that I ever knew. Always there. It's coming back from there with the spare key in my wallet and coming down those same streets, down 58th Street, this time on the other side. There's no other side, it's just there. We're just there. And on the way back, encountering, a couple of teenage girls. They're standing in front of a martial arts studio, peering into the window and giggling. And they're looking at these young fellas doing their katas. You can see them through the window doing their katas, practicing their moves. And the girls are standing there, giggling, hugging each other, being absolutely silly. And so wise in their silliness, just being there. And their giggles are like bells. And the boys are stomping. You can hear them moving. The sounds of their steps, like drums and bells. And more ideas come to me, but in some way true. The announcement from Tusita Heaven of the future that is not the future, that is right here. Past, present, and future, right here in this moment. That doesn't seem to make sense. But what else? What is Buddha? Maitreya has come, is here in the future, because all things, we always chant, past, present, and future. They're not separate, any more separate than what? There's no separate. It's always here. Buddha. In the mirror, in the street, at the fruit stand, where 3 pounds of grapes are glowing. And what else is there? All things liberated in just this moment, in just the moment, just this. And what are we trying, why are we trying to define? Why are we trying to separate in this question? Drowning, a fish drowning in the ocean. What else is there? And so, in this question, what is Buddha? In this answer, 3 pounds of flax is just this. And some part of me rejects to saying now, because that makes no sense in either. It's just this. It's always just this, Buddha. 3 pounds of flax. It's getting, it's that morning where a friend of mine gave me this, where standing in the zendo after having, well, not standing, but sitting in the zendo after morning zazen, and we begin to chant, the road chant. And during the road chant, to pick up the Buddha robe and lay 3 pounds of cotton in my case, cotton, silk, linen on your shoulder and drag it around you and set it on. 3 pounds as we bow again and again and feeling the weight of that 3 pounds until doubt so much you're so tired that you don't feel the weight. It's all me. It's all you. It's all you through, Heart Sutras, through the 57. I got to explain what it is. The 57 Buddhas when we chant the Buddha names in the morning. And the weight becomes no weight because there's no separate. And then to finish morning service and go and fix breakfast for your tenzo. A 3 pound, you take a scoop, a tablespoon from a 3 pound bag of flax meal and fixing the breakfast. A cup of sesame seed to grind. And the Buddha bowl held out to receive or to fill. What difference? Buddha. And instead of asking questions, and I won't say it's a silly question, instead of asking what is Buddha, just eat and be liberated and liberate all, you and me, all of us with you. So that's as far as I got, We are not lost. We just need to, as fish in this ocean, to not, I won't say believe, and I won't say no, but just to, in this big old word that's just words, to actualize, just breathe and stop drowning. What isn't? What isn't it? 3 pounds of flax. I ain't got to go shopping to be. Just breathe. Little 3-pound fish, whatever we are, whatever we're not, you know, whatever word we want to use for that. And understand, you know, I got home that day and, you know, came in the house with my spare key and turned around, and there are 3 keys hanging on the hook right where I left them. And they were as useless as a word, because it's not needed to be at home, to be in refuge. Buddha refuge. Dharma Sangha refuge. A seat on the N train refuge. What is it? So none of that probably made sense in any words, because you know that I do spin. But when that question comes up, what is this? What is that? Whatever answer is sitting, you know, and at first it's going to be sitting right in front of me. It's going to be over there. Well, whether it's 3 pounds of flax, the lamp, the computer, piece of paper, instead of defining, actualize, be, breathe, and liberate all beings. But I don't know what time it is. I probably talked for way too much longer than I should have. But whatever situation, all beings find all beings in. Just, you know, stop playing with definitions and words and just know Buddha. All beings being all, that's what it is. So thank you for listening. I'm going to keep working on this, but that's happens to be where I am. You know, Kensho is not the goal here. It's something much. It's something that Kensho doesn't describe. But as always, with all beings, as all beings, we keep working. So thank you. And if anybody has anything to say that might help me, might help all beings, let's do it. Thank
Chimyo, can you hear me?
you. I can.
Okay. I can't help you, but I do. I'm grateful for you and your talk and for you being you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I, I really appreciate the way that this talk is completely about what's alive and happening for you around this koan. But I wonder if you have any thoughts about why Tozan said this as an answer or said anything at all. It sort of seems like a slap or a stomp or all those other responses, like they're all kind of the same. Or am I missing something?
Oh, honey, we all missing something. It's just the reason why the answers are the same is what else is there? You know, if I say 3 pounds of flax, or I pick up a slipper and like these guys, I don't know, it's such a guy thing, pick up a slipper and hit you upside the head. What is the difference? What is the difference?
It
It's
doesn't
all
feel like there is one.
that moment, this moment, this moment. Um, I don't think the words really matter. I think, the reason why, I always thought when I first, started reading Zen stuff, I thought the koan books were like a joke book. You know, and that's how I perceived it. You know, um, he says 3 pounds of flax, boom, boom. What? What does that even mean? I can sit around and make it mean something, but it's it's words, and it's all really, what else is there? Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. What is the practice? It all comes back down. We call everything zazen, and eventually, to sit on a cushion, to light a candle, to cook dinner, all we tend to say sometimes with the spirit of zazen. No, it is all zazen. It is being fully present, conscious, and through that, and in that, all of that is, I forget words sometimes, is loving kindness, is sanshin, is full, wholehearted being in brushing one's teeth and the toothbrush and walking down the street. Thich Nhat Hanh's walk and movement through the word. What else is there? It's to drop body and mind and to right action, to right speech and thought, to clear all of that away and just be fully, wholly. What we say, what we put all kinds of labels on, to be Suzuki Roshi's bird before the bird is named, is separated. And that's where loving kindness, where consciousness, all of that manifests. So what else? So all the answers are going to sound the same with different words and actions, but and I'm supposed to be, I am this old guy Tozan, who, I don't know, I am the accumulation of the ancestors' dust. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't have to know. But this is Buddha. This is what is right now. So I don't know. Funky koans, my funky brain trying to shape it into something, make something, understand something, be something, instead of the simple not knowing that is reality. Through which body mind can access the Dharma and find refuge in it. So I know that ain't answer your question, but yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just about it. So I'm gonna make some quick announcements. Okay, so tomorrow there's an intro to Zen meditation class. So if you or anyone you know is new to the practice, you can send them to that, which is on Zoom. I also wanted to put people's feelers out for the Wesak ceremony, which will be held at Dharma on June 6th. And actually on that day, Dr. Lai will be giving a Dharma talk, a Great Tree Dharma talk, about Wesak, and then that afternoon we'll go to Urban Dharma and have the Buddha Day celebration. I also wanted to put into people's minds that there's an upcoming practice period that starts June 15th. That will be a continuation of the current practice period, but you can just hop on to this next practice period if you missed the first one. The book that they're studying is Boundless Heart by Christina Feldman. They're just going to be studying a different section of it. So if you're interested in joining that practice period, it starts June 15th. You'll decide on the meeting times as a group, but let me know if you're interested. Just email me info@greattreetemple.org. A few other things. There is a family retreat June 12th through 14th. So if you or someone you know would enjoy a family retreat, that's all ages welcome. So again, email me if you're interested. And then the last announcement I'll give is that the June session registration is now open from May 9th to June 3rd. So yeah, the registration is open on the website, or email me if you need that info as well. Teijo will be speaking next week about growing the spirit of great. Thanks, everybody. I'll give back the merit. May the merit of this practice benefit all beings,
benefit all beings,
and bring peace.
and bring peace.